On the 8th of September, Grassroots activists donned our bunny ears and pitched up outside the Dorset County Show to protest their hosting of the BRC, that's the British Rabbit Council, and their antiquated, barbaric bunny fancy. As vegans, we are of course fundamentally opposed to all forms of animal exploitation, of which there are many at county shows, but sometimes single issue campaigns can be a constructive approach to take and garner more support. Not only that, but the BRC's bunny shows can be considered low-hanging fruit, as swathes of the public are already opposed to them and they clearly breached the 2006 Welfare Act, which is a criminal offence. Again, we are abolitionists, not welfareists, and whilst you'll hear the word welfare bandied around during the footage, this was merely tactical, since there is no way to conduct bunny fancies without welfare breaches, and thus abolition would be the only solution to the welfare issues. Breeders registered with the BRC selectively breed rabbits to have superficial traits perceived as desirable, often at great detriment to the rabbit's health and well-being. With a selfish and egotistical desire to win an award, BRC breeders will then travel up and down the country with these highly sensitive and fragile animals for them to be exhibited and judged alongside many others at the Rabbit Fancy, of which the BRC claims to hold around 1,000 a year. The rabbits are transported and kept in tiny cages, typically with unsuitable wire bottoms, which can cause bumblefoot, so that their feces and urine don't spoil the appearance of their coats. The cages also have nowhere for the rabbits to retreat and hide, which is imperative for these vulnerable prey animals to feel safe and secure. The quote-unquote stock, as the BRC tellingly refers to these feeling, sentient beings, are marked with metal rings and stacked up on tables for the BRC judge to inspect. This involves manhandling the rabbits and trancing them, aka turning them onto their backs to trigger a primal response in which they will quite literally freeze in terror. Rabbits are neophobic, which means they're fearful of new things. At the Rabbit Fancy, they're subjected to an entirely unfamiliar environment. They're surrounded by humans, often with dogs that are allowed to jump up, noisy, grasping children, along with other rabbits that they don't know. They're kept in cages with nowhere to hide, no company and no enrichment. Very often the fancy takes place in large outdoor tents that can get extremely hot, crowded and noisy. Because rabbits are prey animals, they're very good at masking when they're injured or distressed. So when in such a state, it may not be immediately observable, although if you look closely, you'll often see them panting and shaking. At the end of the fancy, many breeders sell the rabbits, chucking them into cardboard boxes and handing them over to strangers who are free to do absolutely anything with them and are provided with no information on how to care for these complex beings. Whilst these bunny shows are cruel beyond words, the conditions the rabbits are kept in by BRC breeders are typically atrocious too. They're often kept in tiny hutches and stacked up in dark sheds with no stimulation. Does are repeatedly bred until their broken bodies can take no more, and any rabbits that don't make the cut are shot, fed to birds of prey, sold as live snake feed, or palmed off to sanctuaries that are already full to bursting with unwanted and neglected animals. These are just a few from an almost inexhaustible list of reasons rabbit fancies are diabolical. Notwithstanding the obvious moral atrocity of using non-human animals for human entertainment and profit in the first place, an animal rights lawyer has drawn up a 7-page document exemplifying the numerous ways rabbit fancies breach just about every law and policy established to protect animals. This letter was passed on to the organisers of the Dorset County Show and clearly demonstrates that county shows and other venues hosting the Rabbit Fancy are facilitating and promoting unlawful activity. In the description, I've linked a petition calling for an immediate prohibition of all competitive shows and exhibitions of rabbits, and would be grateful if you could take a minute to sign and share. Whilst the general population has at least a modicum of compassion and decency when it comes to animals generally considered as companions, as you can imagine, we were really in the belly of the beast at the Dorset County Show, the shallow end of the gene pool with twats in tweed, slack jaws and mullets galore, so the reception wasn't a particularly welcome one. We were asked to leave and of course refused. I was barged by some old bastard steward who looked like he had rickets, and if I had a quid for every time I heard an exhaustingly trite quip about shooting rabbits, I'd be wealthy enough to set up a sanctuary. One lad in a group of hills have eyes looking specimens voraciously expounded on the delight he takes in hearing rabbits squeal in terror and agony as his lurchers tear them to shreds, completely impervious and unaware of how unhinged he sounded. What a bizarre flex, causing suffering to defenceless, tiny creatures. Fucking pathetic. On the plus side, the organisers seemed to find our presence rather embarrassing, and we did garner some support from members of the public who were willing to engage, took leaflets and agreed to sign the petition, appalled at the truth behind the BRC facade. Local plod were there, and as always, the spineless bullies were in full support of animal abusing enterprise, throwing their weight around and trying to get us to move. Inspector 2531 Turner of Dorset HQ was particularly arrogant, and the mere suggestion that his powers were subject to question was an affront to his glaring ego. Two PCs tried to play good cop and squeeze out information about the who's, what's and where's of our protest under the guise of being conversational, but was soon sent packing too. Whilst they hinted at abusing their powers with ag tea thrown around by the inspector, they thought better of acting on it and for the most part wisely left us alone once it became clear they were dealing with seasoned activists with a well-established security culture and way too much experience with the filth to have an iota of trust in them.
It's an aggravating pass, essentially. If you're stopping people doing what they want to do,
Your collar number's obstructed.
That one isn't. And these two aren't.
Inspector, what's your...
2531.
Right, and what's your name, where are you based out of?
I'm Inspector Turner, and I'm based at headquarters.
Right.
Okay.
Can you see the tracks here? Because about 5 minutes ago they requested we move out.
I watched that, yeah.
So we're definitely compliant in terms of not getting in the way of their business.
Okay.
I'm just asking you nicely if you could just stand there. You're not going to be...
Can I ask you something? Can I do
I can see why. Ultimately, when you're spreading out, you are funneling people into what we actually
Yes, I mean, it's not for me. No, it's not for you. I can, yeah, by all means, yeah, that's fine. That's
The
fine.
thing is that the Animal Welfare Act has actually been grown to
Can you hold that one a sec so I can...
Animal Welfare Act has been grown to, and this is being written by an animal rights lawyer. Actually, this is actually really serious because arguably it doesn't come out
I appreciate
on the ground.
Of course, yeah, no, I'm well aware of that.
Trust me, we don't want to break any.
No,
and we're not. Yeah, as I say, we're not talking on the
I will make sure the
You're creating you're reducing the footprint.
we can always move into a bit. People will definitely not unreasonable. We're just trying to.
It is not as well, but it is treated very well.
good. That's a good thing. Well, we want to treat bodies well everywhere. You know,
Okay, I don't actually think about it.
somebody gives us information.
that's fine.
Okay.
That's fair. If you could learn about British Rabbit Council and just to be clear, I'm
absolutely.
currently posting them at places like this.
I personally, I can't make a call on that, but
Thank you.
That explains why you're not. And then,
Yeah,
so whoever.
yeah, absolutely fine. Honestly, absolutely. But please, could you just, honestly, I'm not asking masses, am I?
Perhaps
You can
we could
protest,
stand
it's fine.
either side so people still
Is that
see.
what
I mean,
goes? Is that on the
we
same
could
page?
stand along there and
there's
help
another
on either
option,
side.
Just not right in the middle. I don't mind you. Please, compromise.
What do we think?
We're happy with where we're stood. We are going to stand firmly right where we are. We're not hurting anyone. We're not being violent. We're not being aggressive.
Right, okay.
It's our right
We're
to
not being
protest.
obstructive and we're not being intimidating, importantly.
We're here to talk about bunnies. You should care about bunnies too. You should want to improve your welfare standards.
A colleague has given me the regulations and the things that are there, but I will make sure the secretary and the board of directors sees a copy of this. And if we are in breach of anything, then we will put it right. Trust
There
me.
is unlawful activity happening in there. Abuse of animals, exploitation and neglect.
I know.
Neglect of their
It
most
doesn't matter how
basic
many times you
welfare.
keep saying that to me, but that's not for my personal decision to be made, okay? I've been given the literature, I will pass that on to the relevant people, and I promise you I will do that. and it's them to make the decision. It's not for me as a steward to make the decision.
No, I appreciate
Okay.
that. I understand that.
Yeah, honestly, everybody's got a right to protest. I'm
We do.
fully up for that. Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Not for much longer.
But all I'm asking is that you don't go in front of where people are coming in. It's
I
obviously
think
their
that's a
choice
fair
as well.
request, isn't it? It's a fair
It's
request.
not really any of your business, is it? You don't have
See,
any
why are you so rude?
jurisdiction.
That's
I'm not being rude. I'm just
You're
telling you
really
that it's not your
rude.
business.
You're rude.
This is a civil
You're a rude
matter.
individual.
That's not for you to
Put-
comment
put
on.
camera
You
in
should
my
be
face.
you shouldn't be making subjective comments. I have a right to
making
film you in the course of
objective
your.
comments, okay,
I have the
based
right to
on-
film you
That's
in
fine.
the execution of your duty.
Right, okay, good.
You're not here to support them. You're here to be impartial. You have to deal with my attitude, and I don't have it. If you want to see a bad attitude, believe me, you will. I'm being polite, all right? I'm just pointing out that you do not have jurisdiction because there's no crime taking place. This is a civil issue. It's not any of your business. But as always, you're siding with big business, aren't you? What's aggravated? What's the legislation for that? Can you quote it?
Yeah, I can.
Go on then. Yes, I can actually. So after you.
Okay, good.
You're the one throwing it around, so you quote
I'm
it,
just saying
please.
to you.
What is the criteria for aggravated trespass?
Well, it's stopping people going about what they would lawfully do, or preventing them from doing that.
It's obstructing or intimidating someone
Yeah,
carrying out
see,
lawful activity.
we've got
We're not
obstruction.
obstructing people, are we? Look at these people all going in. They're all going in, aren't they? No one's being obstructed. Who's being obstructed?
You are
Show me one
obstructed.
single person. Show me one single.
around you.
But that's not obstruction, is it? We're not obstructing people. They're getting in perfectly fine, and we're not intimidating anyone either.
Oh, he's gone.
They're always hassling people. I know it is. Thank you. You tell them that. We don't have a right to protest in this country anymore.
Yeah, just see if I know you guys, because we get quite a few of these round doors.
Can we have your identification?
Yeah, absolutely. 2790
And your name,
Brotherton.
station?
PC Jazz Brotherton Dorchester.
Lovely years. Why are yours different to the others?
Oh, that's PC 304 Timworth.
Oh, are you?
No,
No,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Seems
We're
a
not.
bit harsh if you got different ones.
No, I'm just thinking if I know you guys. We get a lot of animal protests around Dorchester, but I don't recognise any of you. So no, that's just seeing who you are.
Do you want names and addresses?
If you want to give them.
Of course, yeah, no worries.
I'm always around when you guys turn up.
No, because normally, because it's not.
You know I'm joking, right?
They are joking. No, if you want. No, some people are. That's what I mean.
Do you think
We normally have a good.
that's
We normally have a good rapport with people. No, just wondering. No, I'm just coming here to see if you knew you or not. Because you get a lot of animal rights protests in Dorchester. And we know the lady organises them.
Oh, okay.
So and we try and facilitate it.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I was just what came down here to see if I know you. But I don't. I see you guys. So are you local, are you? Relatively local. So again, you don't have, I know that.
Yeah, well, only because I smashed it out.
Oh, do you get the rage?
What are you doing in
That's why I left. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I just can't fathom it. I really can't. Get the polish out in a minute.
And there are certain things about potential suffering, and all those rabbits are terrified. They're a prey animal. They're here for? They're there for people to bring rosettes. So it's not like
so the
it's a competition. It's a competition, and people and breeders have been even though the RSPCA and Rabbit Welfare Association and lots of people are saying stop breeding rabbits because 100,000 are rescued. They are breeding them with extreme breeding. They're breeding them for competition.
Oh, it's like breeding them and getting the best pick out of the litter.
Yeah, so that's but I mean the welfare is absolutely appalling. And you should go in actually. Would you go? I think it's brilliant.
I'm interested to know about it.
So they're all kept in these tiny little cages. So first of all, the cages are 2-3 foot wide. That's nowhere near what the Animal Welfare Act says in terms of correct environment for rabbit. But they're prey animals, so it's terrifying. They're right by the fun. Isn't there a fun fair? No? Is that right?
There's a fun fair over there.
Right. So I think that's where they are.
Okay.
So it's
on the
incredibly
map?
noisy. So and the rabbits
have a
are
look.
shaking. They are shaking.
bless.
They're not. not
Have you guys been in
in
to check on them then?
yesterday?
Yesterday.
So,
Right, okay.
Yeah. So
And that's how they do it. They come over all affable and open, feign interest and ask questions that come off as conversational, but for no other purpose than to establish our intentions and gather intel. And just like that, this activist was duped into telling them that some of us had been inside the grounds. The police are not our friends and they are not on the side of justice for animals. Although most of the activists in attendance were those who know what the police are about and how they operate, the protest briefing gave a clear instruction to not speak to them for this exact reason. And no shade to this activist, a kind, open, caring person who clearly hasn't been on the wrong side of the jackboot yet. I can understand it can feel unnatural or uncomfortable to not be friendly and polite to someone who is ostensibly treating you that way. But it is frustrating to see the police abuse the social instinct of reciprocity, and at that point it was raised and the conversation shut down.
No, I'm not trying to trick you or anything, I'm just actually genuinely interested in that. From a prostitution point of view, I'm just thinking...
Can I just point out that every single question they're asking you is to gather information. Yes. They're here to be nice, to manipulate, don't trust them, don't believe a word they say. We should not be telling them anything.
I'm actually genuinely interested that would you guys actually go in?
No, we're not.
No, I'm not.
Why do you think he's interested in whether we're going to go in? Come on, join the dots.
Almost like a professional point of view, from what we do, it's what we do. If
I know
we don't have
exactly
arrest.
what you do, all right? I know exactly what you do. So don't think I'm stupid enough to answer your questions, because that's not happening.
I'm not trying to get your personal details and stuff.
No, you want to know why we're here, what we intend to do, and you're doing it in a way that makes it sound conversational. I wasn't born yesterday, thank you.
My God.
I got a question now.
Okay, go on, please do.
What do you think of my tattoo?
Do you like it?
You see, that's to me.
Work of art, isn't it?
With you, and you're not, and I don't understand
what's
that.
wrong?
What does that stand for?
All cops are bastards.
So why isn't that insulting and offensive then?
Well, it's not.
Well, it is.
It is to me.
Oh,
Good,
no.
it should be.
You see, so I'm trying to be reasonable to you, and you're not. And I honestly don't know why.
Perhaps you should go home and cry about it.
Oh dear, you unbelievable.
Yeah,
it is, isn't it? Absolutely unbelievable.
It's a shame. I don't want to get into conflict about it, but I've been out to
gather intel.
Been out to Yetminster when you guys have been there, made sure that there was no problems at all. And you guys are absolutely delightful. I've met yourself before. I've met you in Dorchester and all the time, and there's never a problem. And I've always been so respectful to you guys.
Absolutely.
And your mate over there,
you're gathering intel.
And I don't even try and remember names and get to know you guys. But I've got no problems with you. I don't eat meat. I haven't eaten meat for goodness knows how long, right? But when you get stuff like that rammed in your face, literally rammed in your face, it's just pointless. Because I'm doing this job for a living, and I don't need to put up with that, and it's just unacceptable.
Then off your pot.
And I don't think that you probably agree with that either. It's up to you whether or not you speak now.
Oh, now he's trying to divide and conquer. There we go.
Because it sends the wrong
clever.
signal. I've done nothing wrong to you guys, especially you, and you just show that. It's just stupid.
We don't like you. We don't trust you. We know what you're about. We know what you're about. You've come over to try and gather intel. We don't want to talk to you. We think you're stupid. So go away.
That's fine. Well done.